This episode of Super GG Radio is brought to you by our Patreon. Patrons of the show can get our Dogs of Super GG Radio newsletter, Super GG Radio stickers to slap on your closest PC or bag, input on what we cover, game nights with the hosts, and even a chance to win a copy of an indie we talked about. Not only that, but 90% of all patron contributions go to the Children's Miracle Network of Hospitals. Visit patreon.com/superggradio to learn more. What's good, Internet, and welcome to session 274 of Super GG Radio, where friends chat about video games and all things adjacent. I am your hostess with the mostest. I say this a lot, I think. I feel like I have nothing else better to say. Here, Alex Arona, hanging out for this NPR of Illinois podcast. Let me just hawk up a lung here. Eric Gettinger. He's in the eye of the hurricane? He's out of the hurricane? Where is he at?
He's out of the hurricane. He's in North Carolina, I think.
Way to dox him, Alec. Way to dox him. You're a champion.
Oh, yeah.
He only comes after the hurricane. He'll head to Florida shortly.
Okay, there we go. We have a pretty good set of episode today. We got everything, I feel like, relatively stacked for information. I feel like I'm ready. I'm willing. I'm sweating. Sweaty. With me is my co-host Joel DeWitte. Hey Joel, what's going on?
You have experience in this. You shouldn't be so sweaty and uncomfortable. Like, it should be just like riding a bike.
No, sweating is a natural state for me. I'm just generally sweaty.
It is like 60 degrees outside. Crack a window and stop sweating.
I'm trying to keep this recording crisp. Crisp as me drinking this can of beverage into the microphone. Take that, Getty. Hey, also talking with us is Alec Parks. Hey, Alec, what's going on?
You know, if Getty doesn't have to be here, I should call my union rep and start striking.
I feel like his benefits are different than yours.
We get benefits?
You have a different
PPO.
badge. Sorry.
Yours is a PPO. His is an HMO.
Depending upon what area you live in, and as long as you're not trying to get mental health coverage, HMOs actually give you quite good benefits.
I'm aware. I wasn't trying to say his were worse. I was trying to say his was better.
Yeah.
You should be mad.
As long as I don't have to have a high deductible plan. Those are the worst.
Oh, it's the highest of deductibles. It's taking a lot of edibles. It's up there. What is a high amount of... Someone told me that they had a piece of cheesecake that was 100 milligrams in one slice. I said, no, thank you. I don't want to die today.
That does feel like a lot.
It feels like a lot. Either way.
Like, that's a whole can of gummies.
Yeah, I'm a cheap date. I don't need any of that. No, thank you. I'll stick with this Jack and Coke that comes in a can. This feels weird. I feel like I could have done this myself, and I don't know why they did it for me for a premium price. Well, no, now that I say it out loud, that makes sense.
It's convenience.
Yeah, having to pour one into the other.
You know, you underestimate how much time you save, depending on how many of those you have.
That is true.
It's like slicing bread.
Are you saying that the premium price of sliced bread is better than slicing it yourself?
If you want uniformity.
Oh,
look, sometimes you want efficiency. That's all I'm saying.
Not uniformity for you? It's efficiency?
Efficiency.
Okay. Joel always a man who doesn't want to waste time. And we did not waste time with these early adopters. We're going to move on to playing some early adopters where we play alphas, betas, and games that have you rolling them bones. This was a good week. I really enjoyed what we had this week. I'd actually been sitting on the first one for a while. Dobbel Dungeon. I had this in mind also a lot for Alec. Alec, did you play Dobbel Dungeon?
Oh, yeah, I played it.
Tell me a little bit about it.
So Dobbel Dungeon is a... Well, it says it's a roguelike. I couldn't find the roguelike elements, but you are a grid-based adventure game where every round you roll dice and you use it to power your abilities. You start off with a paladin who can slash and guard. And then you get a druid that can heal and make things wet. And
Splash.
yes. Sure. And you get a what was the third one?
They weren't a rogue, but they were like kind of this they were like a wild person, right? They were clawing at stuff. But they also had fire magic, which was also very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And as you go through these smallish areas, the smallish grids, completing tasks, you get ability points to customize your characters, to increase the number of uses of skills, increase
let's talk about what the combat is. The combat is like the grid based, but then you have different moves, which is like attack, like you said, defend, or you could do different spells. But now, tell me about the bones, Alec. Tell me about the bones.
Well, so it's a basic D6 that's rolled every time you start a turn. And your abilities will allow you to slot in dice to power them. Sometimes it's enhance. Sometimes it's a static ability where no matter what die you put in there, it will always do the same thing. Sometimes it's do the die amount of damage or guard yourself for half the die amount.
I liked how one of the options is just re-roll.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, and how many times did you guys just get the same count when you did that?
I don't think I did, but I also got a lot of ones for sure.
Well, yeah, if you have a 1, you might as well re-roll. You can't get worse.
Yeah. But I think that it's kind of an interesting idea to pick, like, you get 2 die, but then how do you slot them in is up to you, whether you want to get some defense. You can actually power up your next, or you can power up your movement, because you're only allowed a certain amount of squares to move on the grid. So you can power that up by expelling one of these die. So you do have a couple of options here: attack, defense, sometimes, or move, and enhance your movement. But then even with the other character that was like more of a wild character, that they had a couple attacks, so you could actually slot your 2 die into just the attacks. So there was a lot more options there, healing as well, to enhance how much you're going to heal. That's a pretty good assessment of the gameplay, and then you kind of pick on this map where you're going to fight the next combat scenario. But I guess the real thing is that look. And Joel, what did you think of the way this game looked?
I mean, claymation or clay models mixed with Link's Awakening, the remake, like that sort of smooth edged and rounded and bright and colorful. Not overly detailed, but in a way that matches the aesthetic. It's very eye catchy and something that it is cute without being too cutesy, So it looks great, and I think that the gameplay definitely it holds up. The levels that they give you in this game have different missions. So there's one where you're trying to protect a little villager girl for a certain number of rounds. There's one where you actually have to go and pick up chickens and save them from some of these orcs or something like that and bring them back to a barn. So you do actually end up using your skills fairly differently, depending on which one. The one example of the chicken one, I would double up usually on taking extra turns moving because of how urgently you needed to grab them and bring them back. So I think it seems like there's opportunity for different strategies for the levels depending on how you want to play, and that's all you really want out of these.
Yeah. And I like that it was very bite-sized. Each combat scenario was roughly a minute to 5 minutes, really max.
Yeah.
And everything just looks like it's a hand-carved figurine, and I like that. I was like, oh man, I would play this right? I would roll dice, slot things in, and then play my little characters. Go, I attack you for 3, like a little Warhammer, little mini Warhammer situation. I'm like, all right, let's do this. I built a team. You built a team with our little wood figurines that we painted. Let's do this. So, Doppel dice. Well, Doppel
Dungeon.
Dobbel, baby.
Not to be confused with Dicey Dungeon, which we also covered.
Which also felt very similar.
Yep.
Yeah.
A similar idea of how you use the dice. But that one was more of a... Well, I guess this does have kind of classes, right? With a paladin and a wizard, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, is it not cool to call them wizards?
No, I think that you can call them wizards.
Would mage be better?
Mage is a generic term for any spellcaster. It's all about how you get your magic, and what type of magic you do, whether you're a wizard who's studied and focuses on arcane arts, or I'm not going into that. No.
Thank you for at least... So I thought it was the opposite. I thought wizard was just like a stupid generic term, and then mage was more specific. You helped me out there and made me feel less like I didn't know what I was talking about. I appreciate you, Alec. Never change.
I do what I can.
Next, we played Voidwrought. That was a weird word to say. I don't know if I feel... I don't know if I've ever put those two words together. Have any of you?
The D before the W doesn't quite flow as nicely as you might want to. Yeah.
But the game sure flows in the way that it is definitely trying with the inspirations of a Hollow Knight.
Oh, yeah.
A 2D platformer with some basic attacks, some dodging, some dashing, some take your sweet time healing, because it's going to take you like 45 seconds to heal. Alec, you're a Hollow Knight fan, and you've been keeping up with all things Hollow Knight as far as like these games come. What do you think of this one?
This was pretty fun. I really enjoyed the exploration aspect of it, the storytelling that was going on behind it as you explored. It's a Hollow Knight. It's a Metroidvania. It does a lot of storytelling through the gameplay, and I really enjoyed what you were hearing and being told as you went through, because you're going through this ancient civilization that awakens once every 1,000 years. Yeah,
that was century.
Was it? Sure. It's been 2 weeks.
There was supposed to be an episode last week, but I was out, and it was going to be I was going to come in real hot off a plane, so we missed this last week. Still, okay, and I thought the art design was really good. I thought they did a lot of really good detail to these characters. Surprisingly, teeth forward.
Oh, a lot of teeth.
I feel like they would show like these giant raging beasts with like dark hoods, and their faces were completely enveloped in shadow, except for teeth.
You know what? I think that would be more scary if I was in a dark room and I saw teeth than if I saw eyes first.
Okay, yeah, teeth makes me feel uncomfortable. Like is that a weird thing to be like kind of uncomfortable with teeth? Like really close up staring at teeth?
I mean, that's what makes the Cheshire Cat so unsettling, right?
And one guy from Sandman with the teeth for eyes.
Oh no. There was a game we played. It's on my wish list because it still hasn't come out yet, but it was like a roguelike in that I remember they had like hands for everything, and I remember their teeth being knuckles, and that was like really uncomfortable for me. So I think that with this one, I feel like I got a good idea of it. The bosses that they had available, there was how many bosses were there? Two. I feel like I got a lot of the idea. They would present you with like, purple faces that are glowing. You can't really attack. They're just like they're stagnant. You have to avoid. So then the boss had a purple shield. It's like, okay, you have to go behind him and attack, and that makes sense. So I got a lot more from that in that kind of way that I'm like, okay, I understand where it's coming from. I understand these mechanics pretty readily without too much explanation. It's like, okay, got it. Now I know what I'm doing, and I can jive with this. What did Joel? What did you think with your experience?
I mean, you know that meme where it's like, can I copy off your homework? Sure, but don't make it look like I copied off your homework.
Yeah.
That's this with Hollow Knight. Like it feels like Hollow Knight, right? That kind of quicker movement, very fluid movement, and I think that the distinction to me is the abilities rather than having the badges, the actual abilities that you can buy and install. I got like a magic axe. There was an orb thing that I bought.
Yeah.
And they bind to your triggers. That really helps mix up the gameplay right away. So I could see good potential for them to make it just as diverse as something like Hollow Knight using a different system, right? I'm not sure how I feel about cryptic storytelling in gaming right now, and it's nothing against this. It's just I felt like I've gotten a lot of that lately, especially
Like the Souls likes and whatnot. Also, you played just what you've been playing a lot of Metroidvanias, right?
right. Yeah, and Metroidvanias, from what I've seen, largely really like to lean on that really cryptic storytelling, or the way other side, which we'll talk about in another episode. But I think this is a very well polished game. It feels good. If I had one gripe, it would be that I don't know about you guys, but when I grabbed onto a ledge and then tried to hop up off that ledge, I struggled with that. Like I just couldn't consistently hit it.
It had a really hard magnetism to clinging to the sides of ledges, and I felt like that was something that could have been a little bit eased up on. But a lot of times I did find like, okay, that was useful.
Yeah,
I appreciated being able to grab onto the ledges.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's less being able to grab on and more like how you attach and detach from the ledge.
Yeah,
If that makes sense.
it does.
What I really appreciated about this demo was the fact that they presented you with without how long was the demo? Would you say? I'd say like an hour, right?
No, it was like half an hour.
Yeah,
If
it
it
wasn't
took you
too
an
long.
hour.
So it was pretty short, but like right from the jump, they put you in like a big, a tall hallway with like 7 rooms, and they presented me in the way that like this is too tall to jump. This has gas floors that you can't dash across. Already, I'm like, okay, I'm probably gonna get a double jump, obviously, and I'm probably gonna get an ability that will let me move past this gas. Got it. I'm here. I'm waiting for those abilities to come back and explore these rooms, and that's exciting.
Well, even with the
Yes.
second boss, he has a sequence where he throws like a piece of wall or something like that as you're going down this elevator kind of thing, and it's training you to use that duck and roll option in that too. So we'll see how well they integrate the combat into the battles. But
Now, the second boss had 2 mouths. And he had this move where he would land and then projectile vomit from the mouth in his stomach and slide backwards. And I could not figure out how to avoid that. Did you figure it out?
I did not make it that far. Not that I was struggling. I saw what it was doing, and I said, "Oh, okay, I really enjoy what they're doing here." So I'm gonna come back to this another time. What did Joel? Did you make it past this guy?
I sort of pulled the same trick. You know, I played up to that boss. I got a little bit into it, died, felt like I think I see where the pattern was going, and it wasn't insurmountable. But I had gotten a sense of what this game was by then. So,
what if you're downslide?
No, because you would slide into him.
Oh, it doesn't give you invincible animation?
I don't know, actually. I didn't see if it gave you any iframes.
That's what I'm wondering if did you try that move, though?
No, I just got hit every time.
Okay. Or jump dash as he slid?
Maybe, but it was like you would land in the projectile.
Was there anything to be hooked onto?
Not that I could see, because you're
Okay.
constantly sliding down. But that was where the demo ended, so you almost made it, Joel.
Fair enough.
Yeah, there's but again, also in that brief introduction, you get you unlock the next ability, which is like, oh, you get a claw to like open the gate. You get the, like you said, the hooks. There's hook shots and all these different other ideas. So I'm very excited by this one. Voidwrought. But that's a lot of demos. Also, you guys haven't been doing the question at the end, which is always, did you guys wishlist both? One? What are we doing here?
I wishlisted both.
Same here.
Okay, cool. So across the board, both of these games wishlisted, waiting for that development to hit that finish line. Let's go.
Yeah,
that means
Voidwrought's in 2 weeks.
Oh, dang. See, we already got ahead of the curve. I always love when we get ahead of the curve. I will be sending this to a bunch of people. But until then, I finished this drink, so I need a second one. So let's take a break, and we'll be right back. I'm ready whenever you are. I got all my tabs.
Alrighty. I'm bringing us back.
How many tabs is it?
Fireball.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
It's not terrible.
No, that's a separate browser. My other two browsers. One's a work browser, and it's like 15, and my regular browser is 15.
Oh, I won't even count my work browser. I've got so many tabs.
I close it out. Windows updates. Joel, what's going on? Did you ever see Richard's browser, Joel?
No.
Our friend in college, Richard, he had roughly 45 tabs open at any given time. You couldn't even see what they were.
Yeah, that's about how my work browser looks.
At a certain point, it locks up your browser.
Yeah, I've got enough RAM.
Okay.
10. 10 is like the upper limit of what I'm willing to have on one browser at a time.
15 starts to get a little unmanageable for me. That's why I stick to that number. It's time with the news with Super GG Radio. Now with 50% more 1.0s. A lot of games went 1.0. There's some on here I didn't even put on here. But a lot of 1.0s. A lot of games coming out. It's a hot time for the year. Games on games on games. And there's too many to play. Too many to play.
Truth.
Especially these long-ass JRPGs. First piece of news, Nintendo clock Alarmo. It is an alarm clock with Nintendo. Now, Joel, how many did you pre-order? 7?
I'm grateful that so far nobody's approached me about this. We were talking off break that I didn't know much about this, and I heard the words Nintendo clock and have been actively avoiding it. Hoping that I don't hear murmurings in the house about it. But, sure. Nintendo clock. Why not?
Okay. It has different watch faces and themes. It does all the different songs. It is Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, Ring Fit Adventure, and Splatoon 3 with Mario Kart and Animal Crossing DLC. Joel, you know that Kelly would automatically buy this for the Animal Crossing DLC.
Oh, I'm sure. Like that's a very good point. But the only problem is that apparently this is only meant for single people.
Yes, I had heard that it does not work well with a second person in your bed.
Yeah. So
Yep.
That'd be a problem. Did they actually confirm that, or is it they didn't show a couple of people in a bed during the commercial thing?
I think that it had to do with that there was like an FAQ with it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so I think with the FAQ, it had a couple of questions. One of the things, it does not come with a power block. It comes with a cable, but no power block.
I don't like that. That's very Nintendo though. Like, there was a version of the 3DS, I think, where they sent it without a charger. Like, you'd have to buy your own charger for it.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so that's the Nintendo clock. Next, here's a fun one for you guys. PlayStation had to pull Hotline Miami 2 from Australia. The reason being that way back when it came out, Australia did a rating on it and said, no, we don't want this game in our country. And PlayStation said, they're probably going to approve it. Let's put it up there anyways.
Whoops.
So
why is Australia so sensitive?
I mean, they have stricter ratings boards than a lot of other people.
Poor Australians. What are some other games that they banned? I want to know that.
Okay.
To the Google.
All right, hold on. Let's keep it going. Okay. Australia banned
List.
games.
Thank you, Wikipedia.
Yes.
Yeah. There's lots of. Oh, here we go. We got a long list here. South Park: The Stick of Truth.
Sludge Life.
Saints Row 4.
Let's...
Yeah, there's a lot of them actually. Was that Blitz? Blitz the League.
Oh, State of Decay.
See, Blitz the League is just a weird one. But there's a lot of overturned. Disco Elysium was overturned.
Wasteland 3 was overturned.
Okay. Okay, so they've done this before.
Those Aussies.
Next. Yeah, Aussies. Next, Shinobi getting a film adaptation. That's a good one, I think.
That just seems like a blank slate that they can paint however they'd like. And sure, why not? That makes sense. If they're going to go that route of trying to make this a franchise of some type.
Well, I mean, we're at a point right now where I feel like we're starting to turn a corner. Borderlands removed. I feel like we're starting to turning a corner on these video game movies. So I think that there's room for quality, right? We have the next piece of news. Until Dawn is in the can now. It's finished. And Watch Dogs 1 is finished. So now, because we have those two video game movies finished, and they could be really good quality, I feel like there's room for things like Shinobi. There's room for other different types of games that could be made into movies.
I mean, so Shinobi was a run and gun style game. You wanted to get through the levels as fast as possible. You just kept going, slashing bad guys. I'm not certain how this makes a movie.
Do you think that there's no plot to Shinobi, sir?
There's a plot to Shinobi?
I feel like there's got to be.
That's a fair question for the games of its time.
Yeah.
I
think they did. I think they did it. I think they made one at one point.
I guess with the most recent one, they kind of did. That was more of a Metroidvania too.
What was the ninja game that was extremely hard for Xbox?
Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Okay, so I think that may have more of a plot than the Shinobis, but I think that we could do this. I think we can get there.
We're just reaching a point where people are going to be using video game properties to create movies, but they're not going to feel like video game movies. They're just going to feel like movies, and I think that's sort of where we're hitting the line with this.
Yeah, I think that we're at a point that you can kind of... I mean, there are good plot lines to some of these games. But, I mean, people are going to take the property and make it their own, right? Sonic the Hedgehog.
That Knuckles show is pretty good.
I don't know. I think that Keanu Reeves' Shadow is a pretty good one. I think that's a pretty good. I think it's a pretty good casting. So I don't know. That's all. I really have nothing else to say about that. I don't like those movies. Now we got a whole lot of 1.0s, not even counting Memoir Ari Fantasio, right? That was one.
I
I don't think it's out yet.
don't think it is either.
Is it not? Okay. I thought it was. We also have Kill Knight.
Oh, it came out today or comes out today?
There we go. So we have Kill Knight. That was the top-down twin-stick shooter, but that's more like melee focused. We have Phoenix Springs. Which one was Phoenix Springs now? I gotta remember that one. Oh, this was the one that was like an adventure game. You're a detective in the future noir cybernetic world, and you could like access computers and you have to figure out who murdered your brother. So I definitely remember that one. Oh, this dog is gonna get in trouble now. This dog is all over the place. Oh, this dog's all over. Oh, you gotta go, pup. You are locked in here. Kind Words 2. Kind Words 2 went 1.0, and that just makes me happy. That was on my wish list. I was waiting on that one for sure. So I just can't wait to get in there and get all wholesome on it.
Yeah,
You say wholesome, but you're going to be answering to some pretty dark feelings in that.
Oh, that's kind of what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna like unleash the darkness in me, and then I can feel happy again. I got darkness in me. It's fine.
gonna go scream into the void.
It'll be other people's problems now. It'll be other people's problems. Freebies.
Freebies.
We got to insert that sound effect here. Did you do that, Joel? Did you do it?
Yes.
No, you did it. Okay, good. Oh, good. First freebie, Traveler's Hymn, is a top-down, grid-based open-world adventure. Explore a vast land, battle monsters, collect loot, help locals, and cook hearty meals while unraveling the mystery behind the land's curse. This is very heavily grid-based. It's all grids, baby. You want to see them tiles? Get them tiles. Get you some. The Traveler's Hymn on Steam. Next, Castle Break. Breakout plus physics plus shooting plus building. Literally what the descriptor says. Use your mouse like an air hockey. That doesn't make sense. Use your mouse like in air hockey to kick enemy bombs back into the evil Black Castle. Destroy enemy towers, rockets, lasers. Build your base to protect your little dudes. I'm quoting, you need them to win.
This trailer has a really great metal music backtracking to it.
Oh, it does. It really does. Okay, it's good though. Yeah, this one, while this looks like a DOS game, but it does seem kind of wild.
Mm-hmm.
I think I might get Castle Break. Yeah, I think I might get Castle Break. Next, Muffle's Life Sentence Episode 1. I actually was watching for Muffle's Life Sentence. There's a demo out.
Yeah, it's called Episode 1.
Yeah,
No,
this is the demo.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. This is it almost looks like it wants to be Undertale, but you are in a prison, an underworld prison where everyone has to, their face changes to a mask of how they died. So or what their biggest sin was. So if you like someone's like a crocodile face, someone has no eyes, someone has these weird masks, like these tape, like this bandages all over their faces, blah 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 blah. But you're in this underworld prison, and everyone looks super crazy and shady and creepy, in an Undertale way. Muffle's Life Sentence, the demo, episode 1, is free. The actual game, early access, coming soon. Next, Hidden Pass Skirmishes. Chart a course for mystical adventure in the fusion of tactical turn-based RPG and strategy. This is a small tactical adventure where you have to choose one of 4 groups of heroes and challenge 3 different groups of opponents, starting with an easy group of enemies and ending with a strong one. That was a very confusing explanation, but it looks like XCOM with magic. You want some XCOM? Like I said before, get you some.
Think like
Next.
Burning Crusade World of Warcraft characters.
Okay. But also, like that game that Alec made us play for video game homework. What was it called?
Which one? Magica? No, I didn't make you play Magica.
No.
Magicus is fun.
Yeah, it is. Wizard of Legend?
No. You didn't make us do that either.
No, that was Extra Life.
The old one. The really old
Angband.
No.
No.
Heroes of Might and
We're
Magic.
all over the place. There we go.
Oh, okay.
That took a long time. Way longer than I needed to. Next. Empyreon Galactic Survival on the Epic Game Store. Build and explore in true space sandbox and survival adventure. Construct mighty capital vessels, sprawling planetary settlements, and vast space stations in your galactic journey to discover the mysteries of Empyreon. Okay, so this is like a little No Man's Sky-ish.
Yeah, it is.
But
Lots
much,
of
but
resource
much
mining.
less graphical, but also very much less graphically intensive. This looks like it was made in the 360 Xbox era.
Yeah, this screenshot looks like a Quake multiplayer map.
Oh, I'm watching the trailer, and this is Polygon City. Flat textures, baby. Let's keep it going. And last, but certainly not least, Outliver Tribulation. African mythology meets survival horror and Souls-like. You play as the soldier who mysteriously ends up in a supernatural realm of which her only way out is to partake in an ancient ritual, or so she believes. Survival horror and Souls-like all mixed together with African mythology. Outliver Tribulation. Outliver? Outliver?
I'm not
I
sure
don't know.
which is worse. Because Outliver isn't sounding great either.
Yeah. So, we got some dicey titles, but we got a lot of good games to play. And my backlog is not getting smaller, guys. I keep beating games, and as I beat 2 games, 4 games add to my backlog.
I just added Portal 2 to my backlog today.
That's a good game.
Have you never played Portal 2?
No.
Cave Johnson.
It was on sale for 75 cents, so I figured I'd finally do it.
Oh my god, one of the greatest video game speeches of all time, next to the last boss of BioShock. Cave Johnson telling the government where to shove their lemons. It's like a 1.5-minute speech by J.K. Simmons? J.K. Simmons.
Not Rowling.
Yeah, no one likes that. J.K. Simmons, man. J.K. Simmons is all over that game.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Ooh.
fantastic. Anyway, I'm gonna rewatch this speech. I'll be right back. And we're back with the Backlog Blog, where it seems like I'm the only one playing games. What's up, guys?
I don't know where all my time is going, but not to games.
Joel, what are we doing?
I'm playing games. I'm just not talking about it.
Why are you not talking about
Secret games.
Oh, you're not doing the secret beat list. You're not doing that. What are you playing?
Well, we'll talk about it next week.
Oh, no. Well, this week I guess I'm playing double duty. We're talking about a game I played called Dots Home. Dots Home is more of an adventure game. You're moving around these different scenes, collecting items, which will then be used contextually in a story about a young woman of color, and she goes to take a nap in her family home and wakes up in the past. She's in her grandmother's house, and her grandmother's struggling to pay for the apartment, and keep up with the bills. And she's keeping it because that was their first home, and she always wants to keep it, and blah, blah, blah. The neighborhood's getting worse. But you really get a sense of what it's like for minorities in these situations where you're people taking advantage of real estate and using it in a way to kind of force people into bad situations as far as loans and whatnot. So, I mean, I had kind of, as somebody of color, I'd kind of known about this game for a little bit. It's just something that I wanted to experience. It's a pretty short game as well, but it's, for the most part for me, it was more just about what it was saying. And it really is a conversation about a young couple, pregnant, wanting to buy their first home because they don't want to have a baby somewhere that they're not like settled down and getting roots, but then somebody else using that information to kind of take advantage.
I appreciate a story that tries to be a little more grounded and centered, and something that is sort of like a micro slice of a story that is very specific but very narrow, and that's kind of seems like what this is based on how you described it. And it's a neat thing to highlight, because it's the kind of topic you wouldn't necessarily hear too much about in games.
Yeah, and it's what makes it interesting as well is the fact that you see like they, for instance, the young couple are forced to like buy this home kind of quick. You know, this one's going to be selling and blah blah blah, but then you also can point out like, oh, there are cracks in the foundation, meaning this will be a problem later. And then you see the guy who's selling him the house put like a vase in front of the crack. But in your timeline, in your time where you're actually living with your grandmother, you actively see like this crack that's flooding the basement. And so it's kind of one of those things that you can see, like in the beginning you're playing and you're like, oh, the basement's flooding again, and your house is kind of falling apart. Oh, this other problem with the house. And then you find out that the couple that bought the house, which is again your grandmother when she was young, you start to see that, oh, okay, they were kind of rushed into this and they weren't allowed to even get an inspection. Mm-hmm. And then like later on you also go to the timeline where it's your parents, Dot's parents. And you see that the father also is like somebody that really, really wants to like be successful, but is always like unable to just get over the hump, right? Mm-hmm. And then that's like a whole part of the story as well, and how he ended up in that house, and it's how the generations passed and how everything kind of came to be where it's at. But it's interesting to see the modern time and then see how it got there, 20 years in the past. And it again, it has a lot to do with things like, being kind of taken advantage of, how minorities were kind of forced into these spaces, because those end up being the projects, right? And those kind of areas, and they were kind of duped into that kind of stuff at that time frame, which is like, I don't want to say all minorities, because at the same time anybody could be duped into this thing, but in this case that's what the story is talking about, in those bad areas. And then at the same time, that guy who sold them the house comes back decades later and goes, yeah, man, this neighborhood's really bad. You should probably just sell it. I'll buy it from you, on the cheap, of course. But, that way you can get out of here and you get a little bit of money in your pocket. It's like, oh, that's kind of slimy. Mm-hmm. But that's how it was, You sell it to them, force them kind of into it, and then when they don't like it, you could buy it back from them and make a profit off of that. So Dot's home, I feel like, was pretty good, just because, and that's what I was referring to, is that it's Dot's home. There's
some really amazing animation here too in the trailer. So
yeah, and then when the other part about it is that you have like these, you have the conversation trees. Oh, I'm gonna pick this and say this to them. But it kind of doesn't necessarily matter. It's more like the reaction you're getting out of it. Like, oh, I don't think that you should buy this home. And they're like, well, things aren't great, and we're going to have this baby. And it's like, oh, okay. It's not really, you're not supposed to influence the story. It's just more that it's a way for you to get an understanding of why. Mm-hmm. Because like, no matter what, you can always ask, but like now you're asking the question, right? Why would you do this? It's like, well, this is why. It's like, oh, okay. So it's interesting. I thought it was a good topic. It started out kind of strong, and then it gave me more about what I didn't even realize was, like you said, part of like an issue, a deeper issue. So that was Dot's Home. I definitely recommend anybody check that out. I can't remember if that...
It's free on Steam.
It's free. There you go. Yep. Dot's Home is free on Steam. So if anybody wants to experience it, it's a really good short time game. Next. Do you guys want to talk about Gori, Cuddly, Carnage? Almost the complete opposite of the spectrum. You're an anthropomorphic cat dressed like Marty McFly on a hoverboard. Oh, dang.
It is worth noting you do have a review for Nintendo World Report out there, including video, right?
Yes, I do. On the Nintendo World Report YouTube channel. It's a pretty fun game that kind of sticks to like a Devil May Cry, light attack, heavy attack, shield parry, long range, like bazooka cannon, dodging, etc., etc. Like you have these like this kit, right? This kit of attacks, right? And then if you do enough damage, they will like a button prompt will pop up above their head that says like, "Oh, go do the glory kill," and you'll get heals, and you'll also get energy for extra bonus damage moves. And for me, that's like, oh man, do you remember? Joel, did you ever play Dante's Inferno for the 360?
I have never played it, but I do have it installed on my Xbox right now. So.
Okay.
Really?
All right, so you're aware that it exists. Yeah. It is surprisingly like it does go in depth in the text. Mm-hmm. It goes deep into the text, but the idea is that it's still just like this hack and slash God of War, right? God of original first 3 God of Wars. Mm-hmm. Like the B games, right? The B games. That's where I was. That's my whole thing. Is that this is a B game and it's awesome.
Did you hear about the marketing issues around Dante's Inferno?
No, tell me about them.
So at the time they were, advertising it, and they sent cash to the news outlets. Under like the guise of like, are you doing the Given the Temptation kind of stuff? Just sent cash.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
That's messed up.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's really messed up. Yeah, so I just really like this kind of game, and I miss it. I remember always like, oh man, I should try this one game. I don't know anybody that played it. Mm. It's a weird one, but I'm gonna try it, and it ended up being kind of good. What was it? There was a Gungrave. There's an anime called Gungrave, but the anime was based off of a PlayStation 2 game.
Oh, really? Not the other way around.
Yeah. And it's just a B game. It's just a B game where you're a giant zombie-like guy with a giant like bazooka, and you're just shooting other zombies, and it's like pretty sweet game. And that's why I'm like, it's wild. They're like, oh, I remember this, and I remember no one ever hearing of it. I'm like, this is a good one. So Gori, Cuddly, Carnage. It is your hoverboard has blades that come out of it when you're swiping and hitting people, and it does the really good combat puzzle. So it's like low hits, heavy hits, but then if you charge it up on your bumper, it makes your hits do more and breaks enemy shields. And then also you have a long range bazooka. You have a dodge parry, but I'm going over it again just because different enemies require different attacks, and if you like do their glory kills, you get health, or you get more to boost your attacks. You get a lot of stuff going on that it just feels good once you get in a flow. It's like, oh, boom, break their shield, can't bazooka this guy, dodge this guy, shield parry this guy, heavy attack, the glory kill, boom, back at it. And then also your hoverboard can also grind rails, and that charges more boost, which again, you could be throwing that in because there's little rainbow rails around the map. So I'm dodging, attacking, fighting, grinding the rail, coming back, dodging, attacking, fighting, and it just gets in these very fast-paced little puzzle combat arenas. And then the other part is this, like some platforming levels that I feel like are like possibly the weakest part, just because that hoverboard is not really that intuitive. It is very slippy, slidey, and hard to gauge where you're going to land.
So, that makes it less fun to engage in these combat but
Well, it's more like they're segmented off pretty good. It's platformer, long part of the level, boom, combat arena, close the doors. Okay, now it's gonna be a fun.
Okay.
Got it.
all right.
So they do a pretty good job of that, but it's a little tricky.
What about story? What kind of story are you looking at?
You are a cat that's a toy, and you're trying to get back to your owner. But it's like your owner was a scientist, and all of a sudden all the toys came to life and started murdering people. And you're flying through space trying to find a way to destroy the evil toys.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's actually interesting because its humor is a little hit or miss, but at the same time it's just fun that it exists. Your hoverboard talks to you throughout, and it's very vulgar, and they bleep out the swears, which makes it kind of funny. Mm-hmm. And then Gori himself is just goes, and so it's like, holy bleep, Gori, this is crazy. And he goes, okay, that's kind of funny. So I'm like, I don't know if I need another claptrap scenario, which is definitely what the hoverboard acts as, like this claptrap. But the Gori kind of saves it for me with this just little meows here and there. Like that makes me laugh. Other than that, you go to it's level based, very much so, to the point that like you go back to your home base spaceship to build parts to start finding the ultimate weapon to defeat the toys. And so each level you're going there to find a new part. And then of course you can like level up, you boost your skills, your abilities. You could also get cosmetics and all this different stuff. It's pretty fun. I played it on the Switch, and I'll tell you, I don't think that's ideal.
What kind of problems did you run into?
Just some basic chugging, but at the other on the offset, Gori doesn't look good. On PC, you get like a lot of fur texture. You get a lot of like really realistic cat kind of looking stuff. When you get to the Switch, it is like they take away half his fur, so it's just really thin looking. It's just not the best looking Gori you can get. So it just takes a pretty muddy hit on the looks front, but I think the rest of it, I think it's definitely a solid game. It's funnier. I reviewed two games at the same time, and they both got almost exactly the same score. But I was just so hyped on Gori just for the sheer fact that it exists. Mm-hmm. The other game had had a lot more hype, and I'm like, this could be like amazing. It could be a 9, and then it's like, oh, it's not that great. So it's like, oh, okay, I really think that I really wanted more from this one. Gori, it was exactly what I wanted. Like, I feel like the expectations were B game, and I got B game. So I think that more people should make B games.
B games are fun.
Yeah, we demoed a Kimbot earlier this year, which was, I think, a Ratchet and Clank sort of I don't want to say knockoff, but homage. So, yeah, I think indies are there to pick up the slack.
Yeah, it really what came down to it is that the middle ground fell out. They could not, like, they became financially not viable anymore.
Right, that was sort of happened to THQ, if I remember right. They sort of folded.
Yeah, Darksiders were absolutely a B game. Mm-hmm. And I love those games. I mean, given I haven't played the last 3, they made 5 of them. I've only played 2 of them. But I love those games, so I just don't know. Well, I mean, obviously they're still making them, but it's for me, it's like, yeah, the bigger companies stop wanting to do that. It's not what their purview is. It's either big game or indie, and I think that's sad. We need more. Hey, that's Gori, Cuddly Carnage. Check it out. Probably not on Switch. All right, and that'll take us to our one last thing. Well, I'll wait for getting on the next one. Our one last thing, brought to you by a backlog that just don't quit. It just don't quit. My one last thing is, I'm on a full review train lately, and I'm still got it going on. I have one review half written, and I have another one, another game I'm playing right now for review, plus at least one of the games that I got for us on review. I am chugging along. I'll hit a wall eventually when I'm dead. Joel, what's your one last thing?
Satisfactory. Satisfactory is the game I've been playing lately. It's very good.
Is it
Okay.
satisfactory?
That was a good recommendation. Like it's.
How far are you?
I mean,
How many hours?
I've set up some conveyor belts.
Well, give me the hours. What's your hour count?
4.
Okay, so I got to catch up to you.
Yeah. Like,
Because we're going to play together, right?
yeah. But I always want to like get acquainted stuff before I expand my.
Yeah, but the tricky part is that you might have to teach me, but also at the same time, if you get too far, then you're like, well, hold on, don't touch this, and then also don't touch that, and don't touch
Right. No, I just, depending on how much you played, there's a lot of time where you're standing there holding E while you see sort of a pickaxe motion and you're collecting material at the start. So I was like,
That's why I like these games, man. I played Pal World with a friend of the podcast, Alex Ramos. I played with Pal World for like 5 hours with him, and we were literally just like, so what shows you watching? Oh, that's a pretty good show. Yeah, I wanted to watch the next season.
I'm here for the systems. I'm sorry.
No, I'm here to like hang out, man, and have a conversation.
All right.
Alec, what's your one last thing?
Did you guys know we have video game homework?
Yes.
Yeah,
How far are you?
I'm like 20 minutes in.
You're talking about Alien, right?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. All right.
I'm on chapter 6.
Nice.
All right.
So that's what I'm going to be doing.
Ooh, do that. That'd be fun.
Stream it.
I like Alien. Ooh, stream it. It'll be less scary if it's streamed. Or
Maybe.
more. I'd watch it. All right, and that will be it for this week's Super GG Radio. Before we go, you can find us on Twitter at Super GG Radio and twitch.tv/Super GG Radio, where Thursdays are podcast night. Wednesdays, well, that's a really, again, he's got a really graphic explanation here. Wednesdays, I'm going to be playing the Demon Souls as I'm getting drunk. We calling it Drunk Souls. Watch me. I'm going to read this here. Yeah, ladies, see him wield a big sword all night long.
To be clear, that was Getty.
That was absolutely Getty. Mondays, Joel is being the bad guy. Well, first he's going to play some Alien Isolation. Then he will be the bad guy with Mass Effect 2. If you'd like to reach us with questions or input, our email address is mail@superggradio.com, and provide a review on iTunes or the podcast app of your choice. Please check out our Patreon, where you can get monthly pictures of our pups, get your names read off as an executive producer, free copies of early adopter games, and even get a chance to play a game with us. Come hang out. Let's have a good time. Play Satisfactory with us. Thanks for listening. GG Joel.
So many conveyor belts.
GG Alec.
Good game, Alex.
Good night, everybody.